Hi everyone, how are you doing? I hope you all are great. Today we will have direct and indirect object. First, you have to log in using the aplusstudent.com. Click on your name, move on to language at the grade 7. The chapter is direct and indirect object. The lesson is it a direct object or an indirect object? Alright, so we'll start now. A direct object is the pronoun, noun, or noun phrase. So a direct object is the pronoun, noun, or noun phrase that receives the action of a verb. To find the direct object in a sentence, you have to locate the action verb and ask what or whom it is acting on. Alright, so just like saying that Jane admires her neighbor. Now, whom does Jane admire? It has to be her neighbor. So her neighbor is the direct object in the sentence. Alright, so direct object receives the action of the verb, and then if you want to locate the action, you have to ask what or whom it is acting on. Charlie baked a cake. What did Charlie bake? A cake. A cake is the direct object in the sentence. So some verbs that have a direct object can also have an indirect object, of which is normal. An indirect object is the pronoun, noun, or noun phrase that receives the direct object of a verb. Okay, so the indirect object receives direct object of a verb. The indirect object always appears in between a verb and its direct object. So it appears in between the verb and the direct object. To find the indirect object in a sentence, you have to locate the action verb and then also locate the indirect object and ask to what or to whom the direct object is being given, or for what or for whom the action is being performed. Right. So in general, you have to notice that the indirect object is always in between the verb and its direct object. So it's like saying Charlie baked his mom a cake. For whom did Charlie bake a cake for? It's his mom. So his mom is the indirect object. Be careful not to confuse an indirect object with an object of preposition. So you have to be careful not to confuse both of them, because we have indirect and we have object of preposition. So an object of preposition is a noun, now it's a pronoun, noun, or noun phrase that comes directly after a preposition, such as to, for, in, under, during. So Charlie baked a cake for his mom. Here his mom is an object of preposition. not an indirect object. You can tell because his mom comes directly after the preposition for. Okay? And because it does not appear in between the verb bake and the direct object a cake. So you have to take note of the indirect object. Okay? Let's look at some examples. All right, so is the underlying phrase a direct or indirect object? The manager ordered her staff pizza for lunch. So we have her staff is the indirect object of the verb ordered. It answers the question for whom did the manager order pizza? Okay. Okay, so next we have Coach Benton threw her swim team an end of season party. That would be what? Direct, because an end of season party is the direct object of the verb true. Okay. The pie shop owner happily baked Janet a fresh blackberry pie for her party. So what? It's direct because a fresh blackberry pie is a direct object of the verb baked. It answers the question, what did the pie shop owner happily bake for Janet? So let's move on to the test. You can share your answers with me if you know it. Farmers often feed their dairy cattle high protein alfalfa hay. So is this direct or indirect? So this is a direct object. Rita usually cooks Havina guests impressive meals. So, what is this? Direct or indirect? All right. So we have what? Direct objects. Lisa built her client a sleek new website. Indirect or direct? Okay, so we have what? Direct object also. So if you click on indirect, of course it is wrong. But this is direct object. In 2014, President Obama awarded writer Isabel Alde the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So what is this? Direct or indirect? So this is also direct objects. Dr. Harrison wrote me a glowing recommendation, direct or indirect. All right, so what do we have? Direct object. The manager that has stuffed pizza for lunch. Direct or indirect? So we have indirect. Kang sent his aunt a thank you card for a thoughtful graduation gift. Indirect or direct? All right, so we have what? Indirect. Susie always buys her family meaningful gifts. What do we have here? Indirect or direct? So we have indirect here. A helpful neighbor, Leo often lends us his gardening tools. Indirect or direct? What do you think? So we have what? Direct objects. Okay. Judy sent her grandmother a postcard from Chicago. Direct or indirect? So what do we have? Direct objects. Alright, the cashier handed Leo his credit card receipt. Indirect or direct object? So we have direct objects. A guard denied the tourists entrance to the palace. So is this direct or indirect? So we have indirect. Alright, that's it for our lesson, other direct objects and indirect objects. Can you tell me if you have any questions or not? Please tell me if you have any questions. All right, so if you have no questions, we'll end here for today. If you haven't done this lesson, please try to complete this lesson, and we will see you again next time. Bye, everyone.